Hey guys, today we'll be talking about a little bit about my poet, Claude McKay. Let's get into it. The goals of my presentation is to help you guys understand how Claude McKay got his start as a poet, the background about his life and education, and some poetic devices he used in his poems, and some poems that helped show how racism ties into his poems. A little background about Claude McKay. His name is Claude McKay, and he was born in Sunnyvale, Clarendon Parish, in Jamaica on September 15th, 1889. He studied poetry and philosophy with Englishman Walter Jericho II, and Claude McKay was also awarded money from the Jamaican Institute of Arts and Science for his works on his poems Songs of Jamaica and The Constable Billards. He later used that money to attend the Tuscany Institute to study agriculture, but later he transferred from the Tuscany Institute to Kansas State College, which is run by Booker T. Washington, but he left college and decided his arts were better suited for writing and not farming. Claude McKay's first two poems, Songs of Jamaica and Constable Billards, were published by London's publishing house. Later on in his life, Claude McKay died of a heart attack on May 22nd, 1948. But he was recognized for some awards before he died, like the Harmon Foundation Award for Distinguished Literature, the James Weldon Johnson Literary Good Award of 1937. Some poetic devices that I found in his poems were in major themes: love, nature, and acceptance. Diving in a little deeper, the first poem I found love in was Memory of June, where it said, with the scarlet rose tinting her breast and mating her thrust into her days. That was the first one. In the second poem, Red Flower, I found the theme of love, where it said, wet with soft rain kisses of night in which brown bees bury deep in head. The last poem I found love in was Alfonso's Dressing to Wait at a Table, where it said, gay kisses, chain magic laces, Alfonso voice mellows with music bills. The next major theme I saw in some of Claude McKay's poems was nature, and the first poem I saw it in was Solidarity, where it said, and I am fire swift, flame and burned, melting with elements high overhead. The second poem where I saw nature in was After the Winter, where it said, some day when trees have shed their leaves, and against the morning whites, the shivering birds beneath the eaves have sheltered for the night. The next major theme I saw was acceptance. In the first poem I saw acceptance was Winter in Country, where the poem read, sweet life, how lovely to be here, and feels the soft sea landed breeze. Strike my flushed face, first fair, free limbs to see the laser trees, bare hands to touch the sparrow's cheek, to heed watch his nimblings flight. The next poem I saw acceptance in was Rest in Peace, where it said, unbatting bitterness, they cannot reach you in your safe retreat. Going deeper into like the meaning of love describes the character and the feeling for a person. And as I said in like my previous slide, where I found Memory of Love, the line where it said, with scarlet roses tinting her green breast and mating. The next main theme going deeper for a deeper definition is nature. Nature means matters and inspiration in a poem. And the line I started in Solidarity was while you are water in earth. Now, the last major theme is acceptance. Acceptance is the act of accepting something or acceptance. And when I say I found in Rest in Peace with the night, other line I found it in, with the nights of unbound business, they cannot reach you, your safe retreat. The next, getting to a deeper thing is tone. The three poems I saw tone in was The Spanish Needle, The OEA, and On Broadway. The Spanish Needle, I saw a tone of nostalgic and reflective. When I saw a tone of nostalgic and reflective when it reads, Lovely dainty Spanish nasal with your yellow flower and white, do you begged and softly sleeping, do you think of me of tonight? Showers by spreading mangoes, nodding the rippling stream, tell me, dear plant of my childhood, do you exile my dream? The next poem I saw a tone of romantic tone was to O.E., where it poems reads, your voice is the color of a robin's breast, and there is a sweet sob in it like rain. Still rain in the nest among the leaves of the trumpet trees. Close to his nest, the pea dove sings, and each note fills me with a strange delight. Like the words weft with music that will well from your trembling throat, I'm afraid of your eyes, they're so bold. The last poem and tone with Barbara where it showed a possessiveness about being gay, where I saw this tone and where it read, about me, young careless feet linger along the Jersey streets above 100 shouting signs shed down their bright, fantastic glow upon the merry crowd and lines of moving carriages below. Oh, wonderful is broader, only my heart is lonely. Going to deeper with the tone, the Spanish needle, where the quote, but I also saw toning where it says, shadows by the spreading mangoes, northern the rippling stream, tell me, dear plant of my childhood, do you exile my dream? Now getting to types of poems. A prayer, different types of poems that I saw in each of Claude McKay's poem. A prayer is an ode type of poem, and an ode type of poem is a serious liturgical poem that addresses often celebrates a person, thing, or idea. And in a prayer, it was celebrating Claude McKay's old life of where he was here in the calling where it reads, made the discordant noise of the day, I hear thee calling. I stumble as I fare along each way, keep me from falling. My eyes are open, but they cannot see. From a gloom of night, I can no more than lift my heart to thee in words of light. The wild fiery passion of youth consume my soul, and I turn thee from truth and self-control. The next poem that we see that different type of themes is Jasmine, where Jasmine we start to see a lyrical type of poem and a lyric type of poem, the short type of poem, which is the songline quality. And when you read the type of poem, it's also a romantic type of tone poem where it reads, when you hear it, your scent is in the room, swiftly it overwhelms and condemns me. Night jasmines, perfect of perfume, heavy with dew before the dawns of day, your face in the mirror, I could see your smile vanish swiftly away, leaving behind the rest of a tear, sad suffering face from parting grown so dear. Nights of jasmine cannot bloom in this cold place without the streets is wet and weird with snow. The cold nude trees are tossing and too stormy is the night for your frown face. For your low voice is too loud, the wind may mad roar, but oh, your scent is jasmines that grow, luxuriant clustered round your cottage door. In this poem, we also see, which being a literature poem, we also see there's also a romantic tone in this poem. And when you read it, this poem also shows that it talks about someone who he loved, and you also can see in the one of the lines where it says the cold nude streets are tossing to and from. You also see it on a pier. And then in the other line, you see when it reads jasmine that grow luxuriant clusters, you see an image as imagery. And then the second type of poetic device is a metaphor where it says, nights of jasmine cannot prove in this cold place without trees is wet with snow. The next poem is After Winter. It is an imagery. It is an imagery type of poem, and an imagery type of poem is a more where the poet is trying to show you a picture of something. So when you read a poem, they're trying to show you what's going on in that moment. So I'll read it to you and you can see how it's an imagery type of poem. Some days when the trees have shed their leaves, and against the morning white, the shivering birds beneath the eaves, how sheltered for the night will turn our faces southwards, love, towards the summer exile where bamboos spry, to shaft groove and wide mouth orchid smile, and we will seek the quiet hill where towards the cotton tree and leaves laughing crystal round, and works drowning be, and we will build a cottage here, besides an open gland with a black rippled bluebell blowing near, and a fern that never fades. When you think of an imagery poem, you think of after winter, you think of an imagery poem because it's like drawing a picture of mine of winter. But also in this poem, it also shows an earth type of element. And you can also see in this poem, the major theme is nature. And the tone of this poem shows it's a peaceful, but also a hopeful tone that you can see something coming. And you also see a rhyme where it says, with black ripping bells blowing near, a fern and the ferns that never fade. The last type of poem we have for types of poem, first thing to see the word "the" is a sonnet poem. A sonnet poem is a lyrical poem, and it's normally 14 lines, and it's normally talking about love. But in this type of poem, Claude McKay is talking about love of a man. And I'll read to you. Bow down my soul in worship very low, and in the holy silence we lost. Bow down before the marble man of woe. Bow down before the singing angel host. What jewelry glory fills my spirit eye, what glowing garment moves the death of me. The soaring arches lift me up on high, taking my breath with a rare symmetry. Bow down, my soul, and let the wondrous light of beauty bathe thee from her lofty throne. Bow down before the wonder of a man's might. Bow down in worship, humble and alone. Bow down lonely down before the scared sight of man, differently is alive. And in this poem, we kind of see how Claude McKay is talking about the society how people feel like they have to bow down to a certain stereotype. And also in this poem, we also see that the tone is a very commanding tone. And then the line where it says, bow down my soul and let wondrous light of beauty bathe thee from her lofty throne, is showing how the poet is talking about how women are expected to worship a man. Now getting into deeper about that poem, when we're talking after of winter, I already said it's an imagery poem, and the line where you see it, where helped me see it was where it says bamboo spread and shaft they grew and whitened mount orchid smile we think. But basically in the after winter poem, you're basically seeing how Claude McKay painted a picture about how what was going on in that time. Now getting to my poem that I thought was Claude McKay's best poem, which was Rest in Peace. Rest in Peace for me in this poem, it showed Claude McKay's all of his features that we see. It showed his theme for acceptance. It also said how it was a didactic type of poem, where it's more a didactic type of poem normally is more talking about teaching a primary goal, and in this poem he's teaching the goal about stereotypes and racism. And then you can also see how this is an elegy type of poem where it's talking about how he lost a friend, and in an elegy type of poem, normally it's talking about a loss of a person. And in this poem, it talks about different tones like disappointment and anger. So like getting into see how you guys understand this poem, I'll start reading it. No more for you the city thorns away, the ugly corner of Negroes' bells, the misery and pains of these harsh days, by you will never again be felt. No more if you still wonder, will you meet with nights of unbending bitterness, they cannot reach you in your safe retreat. The city hates, the city's prejudice. Towards sudden, but your mental task is done. The dawn now breaks on you, the dark is over, the sea is crossed, the lawns far apart worn. Farewell, O fair, you will, my friend and lover. And in this poem, we see how Claude McKay is talking about how African Americans were treated different, and he wanted to show people that they deserve better. But in the first line, it talks about how no more for the city throws away, and this talking about how people lived in that time. But basically, when you read this poem, it just shows you how people are actually treated in that time, how they weren't treated with respect or anything. And then the line that showed me about disappointment, where it said, no more, if you still wonder, you will still meet. And then the second line that showed me about anger is that where it said the city hates, the city's prejudice. When Cosmo came saying that part was like saying how the city hates Black people and they'll do whatever it takes to get them out of their city. But while you sit there and listening to this poem, you kind of wonder why, whatever, because that's my example poem. To me, Claude McKay's poems show you how the world was when he lived in Harlem. It shows you how he was treated and how Black people had to work for what they wanted. And Claude McKay was just trying to show also the side of our immigrant because he left Jamaica to go travel the world and be a poet. But in conclusion, I hope you guys understand a little bit more about Claude McKay and how he helped to educate us about racism. Also, how Claude McKay overcame a lot of stereotypes. So thank you for listening, and back to you, Ms. Snyder.
Oh. You can cut it out. You can cut it out.
Okay.
That's good.